I'm streaming this on both my YouTube Live as well as TikTok Live. So if you're watching on TikTok, please also consider following and subscribing to the Talking Cardboard YouTube channel. But if you're streaming on, watching this on YouTube Live, then obviously definitely check out our Talking Cardboard TikTok if you haven't already done so. So with that said, I tried to do this earlier because this is the very first time I've done both a TikTok Live while also streaming on YouTube. So bear with me if there's any technical difficulties with this. I'll try my best to avoid that. But as you can see, I have a game called Innkeeper, and I'm just doing on the table here, and I'm just doing an unboxing. So first and foremost, I do want to start by saying thank you to the company that published this game. They're called Diecaster Games, and check them out. This is, I believe, their first title that they've published. So that's really exciting. What also is equally exciting, to me anyway, is that they are a Minnesota-based board game company, and I'm from Minnesota, so it's always very exciting to support local board game publishers and designers. Obviously, as we are then a local content creator here in the Twin Cities. So really awesome to see that their game even was already on the shelves at Games by James, which is one of my favorite friendly local game stores, and right next to some of the biggest titles that are out there, like Wingspan, for example. So I would imagine this must be a very exciting experience for the team at Diecaster Games to see their game on the shelves next to some of the other bigger titles that people are familiar with. So without further ado, let's take the top off. I did already remove the shrink wrap because I did a brief trial run of this earlier today. So this is not my very first time opening the game. But right away we see the rulebook. And just a real quick, what is Innkeeper? This is a 2 to 4 competitive board game that is, I would say, a bluffing / bidding game. Those are the main mechanics that you have, as well as a little bit of tableau building, as you are going to be acquiring what are called asset cards. And there's some take that mechanisms in this game as well. Very relatively quick to play. The box says 30 to 60 minutes. And as you can see, the game footprint is relatively compact, so definitely a game that I would say is pretty portable if you are one that likes to travel around a lot, or definitely if you already are going to something bringing a bunch of big games, this would be one that you probably could fit in your game bag relatively easily. The game is got a kind of medieval theme where you and the other players represent proprietors, and you're managing an inn, and at the end of the game your goal is to have the most gold, but you're gaining gold by attracting different customers into your inn, which you do during a certain phase of the game. And I'm not going to give a very detailed overview of the rules in this particular video or this live unboxing, but I will try to explain a little bit of how the game works as I go along here. Okay, so in total, it's 22 pages long, and the rules definitely are not overly complex. In short, you have several phases that you go through, 4 rounds of several phases, and the main phases of the game include this asset / bidding phase. So that's where the bidding mechanisms come into play, where there will be asset cards that are drawn from an asset deck, and all players are going to be bidding on these asset cards that have effects to help them essentially win the game. And then there's the customer phase where you're bidding, or the customer phase is where you hope to have enough characteristics. Yeah. So you're totaling your inn's value for each characteristic shown on the customer's card. And I'll show you up close the different proprietor soon, so that will make a little more sense. And then after the customer phase, you have deposit phase. So essentially you can bank your money as the game goes on. And then eventually get to the final deposit phase after your 4 rounds. And that essentially is when you determine the winner, which, as it says in the rule book, the proprietor with the most gold wins. So that in a nutshell is how the game works. But like I said, that stay tuned for a more thorough review video in the future on our channel, on the Talking Cardboard YouTube channel, because I hope to do that soon, and also hopefully do a live playthrough session with others from the Talking Cardboard group. Next, we have a couple counter sheets for the money that's used in this game. Next, we have first player token, and I'll show this up close because this is actually kind of a nice piece of woodwork here. And then this die that feels wooden to me and kind of gray in color. Nothing too special there. So next we'll pull out the instans. You're going to have these instans that hide the amount of money that you have available to you. Not only then on one side is there just artwork, but then on the other there's this turn breakdown guide too, which is helpful for when you're first learning the game, of course. And all four of these stands are identical. So that's that. Next, let's take a look at all the different proprietors. So these are completely asymmetric from one another, and I'll take time to go through the first one just to explain what you're looking at. First, you just kind of have the name of the person or the proprietor, then the name of their inn. In this case, his is called the Finery. And then you have the different attributes. So cuisine, entertainment, luxury, service, which thematically represent those various aspects of that person's or that proprietor's inn. And the higher the number, the better, because again, once you start getting to that customer phase, you want to have the highest of in each value that a particular customer values, and each customer values different attributes. So I'll show that soon enough too when we go through the customer cards. Then you have different also asymmetric starting conditions. So you have starting gold that's going to be different from one proprietor to another. This debt limit also is different from one to another. Basically, you can incur debt throughout the game if you decide to do so to try and, of course, increase the amount of money you can bid. And then there's this income modifier, which I believe is just the base amount of money that you otherwise are accruing every round. And then every proprietor has their own unique ability. And then also every proprietor has their own unique, what's called top bidder ability, which activates when that proprietor happens to be the top bidder, I believe, for one of the assets that you're bidding for later during that phase of the game. So that's essentially what's included, the information that's included on these proprietor cards. Just to illustrate two different ones here that you can see on the top. The Finery has great service and great luxury, not so great entertainment and cuisine, whereas Fortune's Favor down here has great starting entertainment, but not such great service. But during the course of the game, you're going to be bidding on these asset cards, and those asset cards can improve really all of the different aspects of your proprietor. So we have the Golden Steen here, the Crown Jewel, the Two Ganders, the Shanty, and Siren Song. So in total, I wasn't keeping track while I was counting, or while I was going through them. Yeah, in total you have 7 proprietors that you can, or inns essentially, that you can play with. So right there, some nice replayability value, because of course the different proprietors are going to have those different starting values, which may then of course change your strategy from one game to the next of Innkeeper. So I'll put these away and next I will check out, open up this stack. Has both the treachery cards, and then I think these are actually a few different, those are, I believe, the customer cards. I'll check. these are the bid cards. I'm realizing every proprietor has their own unique bid deck and whatever. But in this game, you just have a deck of cards that represent that number of money that you're betting or willing to bid. But every, I guess, innkeeper has their own deck of these bid cards, which I believe are going to be the same exact values. But doesn't this, of course, helps you keep track of when you're playing or when you're bidding into the center of the table, you know whose bid cards are whose. So you have a bunch of stacks of these bid cards. Put these back in the box to try to keep things organized as I go. Now, let's take a look at these treachery cards. So I won't go through every single treachery card for the sake of time here, but like for example, this one says, play this card during the customer phase. Target proprietor gains +2 service until the end of the phase. So maybe you can wheel and deal and decide to give this benefit to another proprietor in return for something. But when it says target proprietor, obviously you can choose yourself to give your inn +2 service, which could be the difference in your inn being able to attract a certain customer if a customer prioritizes service, for example. So that's one type of treachery card. Let's see what this one says. When a customer is revealed during the customer phase, replace their topmost characteristic with the characteristic of your choice. This card cannot be played on a particular customer. So this one's pretty self-explanatory. Let's say your proprietor is not very good at cuisine, but has really good luxury. Then you can, decide that customer now has luxury as one of their characteristics to improve the chances that you're able to win them over to your inn. And then here we have, play this card during the customer phase. Target proprietor gets -3 to a characteristic of your choice until the end of the phase. So in this case, obviously, this is a treachery card you would play against one of your opponents in order to decrease the chances that they're able to get a customer during that customer phase. So like about 30 of these different treachery cards, all I think are different from one another. And that's what those cards are used for. We'll go back to the box and open up this next stack of cards. The first top bunch of cards are the customer cards. So these are what you're going for during that, what did I say? It's called the customer phase. Yeah, the customer phase, yep. And I'll show you these up close over here. So, as I've been saying many times, each customer is going to prioritize different characteristics. So the adventuring party really is interested in an inn with great entertainment and great service. And then if you have the most entertainment and service of the different proprietors, then you would win this card, and also with them, you would win 4 gold. The band of goblins here, they prioritize cuisine and entertainment. And in this case, okay, another way of getting those treachery cards is actually winning a customer. So in this case, they give you 2 treachery cards if you had the most of those characteristics. Bandits are luxury and entertainment. When you collect this card, up to 2 target proprietors pay you 1 gold if able. So as you can see, a whole variety of, it looks like there's always just 2 characteristics each customer is going to be prioritizing. Oh, in this case, just 1 for this guy, the snake oil salesman. But, and he says treachery. Oh, okay, interesting. So I guess sometimes it's not always, I have not obviously played the game yet, so I'm just realizing this now. Sometimes it's not just those characteristics a customer is interested in, but sometimes in this case it's other aspects that a customer's cares about, like least gold and vault. And anyway, I'd have to read the rulebook to fully understand how the particular customers work. But you can understand the general concept of how customers work and how you're trying to win them over into your inn by having the highest of those characteristics. And of course, you have to decide which ones you want to focus on, because there's 4 different characteristics and you don't know exactly which of these customers are going to be drawn during any session of Innkeeper. Okay, so next we have additional reference cards for how the game works. So they are on the back of the dividers that I already showed, but you also can have a card to keep track of the different phases of the game. Then we have a bunch of these debt cards. Proprietor can only ever bid an amount that they can cover. This amount is equal to their current capital plus their available debt. And as I showed earlier, each proprietor has a various debt limit. So for example, over here, Crown Jewel has a debt limit of 6. And it says debt during the bidding phase, a proprietor may bid higher than their current amount of capital as long as they have less debt than the limit specified on their proprietor's card. A proprietor cannot bid over their current capital if they already have reached their debt limit. But what I also wanted to share is that each debt card is actually, well, not every debt card, but there's different types of debt cards. Some have higher values, some are 2, some are 0, like this called forbearance. Then there's just a regular debt. So eventually you have to pay these back, which normally, of course, is the cost of what's on the card. Those are the debt cards. And then finally we have these, which are the asset cards. And these are the cards that you'll be bidding for during a session of Innkeeper. So for example, Baby Dragon, if you were to win this card, you get +3 income modifier, which I believe is at the start of every, at the start of the refresh phase, you gain income based on your income modifier, and therefore that would give you additional 3 money, which is pretty good, as you can understand. This one gives you just better characteristics, +1 modifier, but when you deposit to the vault, your deposit gains +1 from the bank, so this is a double net positive effect. And then you can also see there's a value here which correlates to their sale value, because you can sell these during the game too. So ideally you don't want to bid more, I would assume, than what it's worth. And ideally you bid less and can then try to sell it for money, and if you don't really feel like you need its effect. But all of these are completely different, I believe, too. So plenty of different asset cards to see throughout the course of the game. And that was the last stack of cards to go through. So now we have completely gone through everything in the box of Innkeeper. And again, special shout out to Diecaster Games, as they provided, sent this over to us. So greatly appreciate that. As I've said a few times now, I definitely hope to do a more detailed instructional video of how this game works, and then also hope to do like a live playthrough session, and then also review video of this game. But with that said, I just want to reiterate that this seems like a great kind of definitely a great portable game to bring around, since again it's not too big, and it's 2 to 4 players. Want to reiterate that. And definitely if you're in the Twin Cities area, like I said, I've seen it in the store shelves. Otherwise I have the publisher linked in the comment or in the description of the video on YouTube. So with that said, also again, like and subscribe to the Talking Cardboard YouTube channel if you're watching this either on YouTube or the TikTok Live. Hopefully, if you're watching this on TikTok Live, it looks okay. I unfortunately am not sure how to watch it myself while I'm because I'm using OBS software so I can stream to both our Talking Cardboard YouTube channel while also streaming to TikTok. But with that said, thank you for watching this. Appreciate your attention, and please check out Innkeeper. Again, a game designed by locals here in the Minnesota area, specifically Kyle McManus. So kudos to Kyle. Congratulations on getting this game published, and really hope those that are watching this consider trying to pick up a copy for yourself. So see you guys soon.